going to talk to you about the question of free will through the lenses of neuroscience. So first, tell me, what do you think about free will? Do you think it exists or not? So the purpose in our presentation is to demonstrate them that it doesn't exist in a bibliographic way. So first, what is free will? Free will is the capability that an individual have to act according he decides or she decides. It is people have the opportunity. The people has to make their own decisions without being subject of pressure, limitations, or divine predetermination. And the decisions he has are wholly owned and not transferable. And why it's important? It is important because free will is not only a pompous title or a justification or excuse. It is the freedom we need to life, to learn, to experiment, to stand up after a fall without the pressure of anyone. And if an individual about us can help us and protect us from all obstacles and limits we lives have no growth, and we couldn't, we life have no growth, and we grow and our growth will be zero. Where do we look at for? In two branches of knowledge, we have neuroscience and philosophy. In neuroscience, we have Sam Harris, and Benjamin Libet, and Francis Crick, and John Dylan Haynes. First, we can consider the two other experiments made by Libet, in which we have the unconscious initiation of a freely voluntary act, and the relation between the unconscious cerebral initiative and the role of conscious will in voluntary actions. In these experiments, we can find a common overlap. We can see that all of the processes are involved in neurological processes. Francis Crick Francis Crick who is the first in demonstrating that neurological neuroconscious as a neurochemical processes, and he can explain it in a neurological vision. And John Dylan demonstrated that in the philosophy we have Spinoza, Jean-Paul Sartre, and Hume David. Spinoza and
no,
Harris.
The first is Sartre.
No, it's Spinoza. He
No,
is Spinoza. I understand.
Because he was very ugly.
Harris and Spinoza was the first in talking about was the first thing opposed about the idea of free will in a combination of neuroscience, philosophy, and a God view. And Sartre and Hume don't talk about the free will, don't talk about the non-existence of free will, but the things they do are corroborate this idea of non-existence, because even Hume don't think of him about determinism. His ideas are the basis of the determinism view, and Sartre thinks about him in a compatibilistic view, that his limitations and put limitations in his life, but these limitations are only for mental limitations.
Okay. So all of this, what does it lead up to? Here we have somebody asking, well, do we have free will? And the person has neurological process in the brain, and then he says, well, of course we have. This is obviously ironical. This is to represent that even if we think we have free will, even if we feel we have free will, that is the most obvious thing, we don't really. Science demonstrates in neurological basis that previous unconscious processes in the brain leads to the thinking we have in this decision. This is shown by Haynes and Leibniz experiments. Also, we reached three main conclusions that express determinism basically. Neural processes before decisions. As I said before, first comes the neurological processes and then the field of the decision. Conscious being produced by a brain. Francis Crick was one of the main researchers in this main issue, because he thought that neurological things can describe and can be translated into a conscious being. And then the limbic system and the moral and social behavior. This is a key point, because basically the moral behavior and the social construct that we build every day are basically the things that made us people. They made us not just human beings, but persons. So the realization that all these moral issues, all these social constructs are just a reaction of the brain is kind of uncomfortable at first, but we can just get over it eventually. Yeah, this is the question I think everyone is asking. Why the hell do we care? So, first of all, as said previously, the implications of determinism and or a lack of free will in our knowledge is quite heavy, because it affects a lot of issues in our daily life. 3 points are key in this. First, judicial system. Here the judge says, I declare accused guilty of something he cannot control, and the accused is what? Well, basically that's what happens every day in a courtroom, at least in a deterministic view. Why? Because we don't really have the control of our actions. They are just reactions of previous or past things that happen to us. We just react. So, how do you manage to accuse someone? How do you manage to incarcerate some criminal just for something that they don't really control? Well, I think that we can just say we're not locking them up just because there needs to be a punishment for them, but because there needs to be an incentive or cause that leads to a reaction of that people to say, hey, I don't want to go to that place again, so I will not commit a crime. Or as a better way to put it, maybe as a treatment. Maybe we need to treat criminals, not just lock them up. I think that's a better way to proceed. reasoning. Some people think that reasoning does not matter and cannot occur without free will. Well, if we define reasoning as just the utilization of the use of knowledge, previous knowledge we have, and just to solve a problem, for example, then even computers can do that. So obviously, or in our brains, that happens in a more complicated way, but it happens. So reasoning is not like the main thing in determinism. Now, reward. If we do not decide to do anything, basically, then how can somebody reward us for anything, basically? Well, if we took the reward just as incentive, then we can say, hey, I'll give you this that makes you feel good, that reacts in your brain in a way that you want to do the same good thing again. That is basically the same as the judicial system I talked before. It's a negative response for a negative action. This, in change, is a good response for a good action. And now there is a minor point, the proudness. How can we be proud of anything if we don't decide to do anything? The thing is, we don't know. Because, well, there is an argument that says that if we do not decide, if we do not realize for ourselves that we have to do good things, then why be proud of that things we do? And actually, we don't know. Maybe there is no reason to be proud of anything, or maybe there is, but we don't realize that yet. So we invite you all, or invite some of your peers that you will talk about this in a conversation or something like that, that think about this especially, because proudness is a kind of good part of us. Feel good about things we do sometimes leads to a better comprehension, a better well, basically we want to do it again because we feel proud of it. So if we're lost at that, then we're kind of empty sometimes. But well, we leave us to thinking. So thank you.
Do you have any questions for the research?
Do you think if you have two people in one room and happen the same things to each people, they are going to react the same?
No, because you have to take the context. For example, you and I are different persons. Why? Because we lived before in different contexts. And also, the thing is, not just the environment, but our biology. Our biology sometimes leads us to do things. For example, a psychopath can't feel empathy or something like that. So if you put a psychopath and a normal person in a situation where empathy needs to be addressed, they will behave differently. Even if they're in the same room, if they hang out for a long time, those issues are key and that's why it's very complicated to reach the conclusion that we don't have free will by ourselves, but we need to look at the brain processes. Yes?
What is a normal person for you?
Well, normal, I'm talking about normal in the way that they have basically the main things in their brain. For example, I was talking about a psychopath. A psychopath do not have empathy, and empathy is not like just a behavior we learn, but it's something we are familiar because of biology. Some researchers like Franz de Waal, they study the evolution, basically, of this. They look at for primates, for other primates, and he saws the the word I forgot. He reached to the conclusion that this empathic behavior is not just a behavior we learn, but a behavior we inherit through our genes or through the DNA. And so in the case of the psychopath, they are not born with that. So there's a problem. And a normal person is one that has that empathy. Yes?
What do you think are the main factors that affect the subconscious part of our brains?
Well, one of these is biology, of course. Then is the experience. Experience is key to this because because the experience are basically what makes you. The self, the being, are just logical responses of what happens before in their experience. So I cannot give you a specific answer because the experiences are different for everyone in every scenario, and that's why we have a big sample size, for example, in a study, because we need to cut this subjective experience before or after the experiment from that, and even that is hard.
Okay, so do we have an illusion of free will? And from when we were childs, what indoctrinates us to behave one way? Why one child that has one family goes for one path and one from that family goes for another path? What makes them behave differently? And when they are young, is there a turning point in their actions to change? Or
Yes, I think that's very interesting because when we are a child, why we can learn languages and learn things faster when we're young? Because our brain is more plastic in those periods in those ages. That's why old people tend to not listen to not listen to people when they give them advices, or they try to rationalize with them, because they just are stuck in that. They cannot, well, they can, but it's more difficult to them for make up their minds. But a child, in change, their plasticity of their brains makes them assimilate more things and consider more things. Even if they don't understand, their brain still works. So yeah, when they're a child, there's more probable that things will affect you more in your future behavior. Obviously, if for example, now you get out of the university and you get out and just, I don't know, have an accident, you will be traumatized possibly by that, and that will affect your future behavior.
Okay,
So, yeah.
we have to end here the debate. For you, do you have a final thought you want to share with us? A quick one?
Yes, I have one. Please consider this, because as I said, there are a lot of implications in the free will, their existence or their not. And maybe you have evidence that we don't, that leads to the conclusion that there is free will. It's always nice to listen to that and debate about that, because there's kind of importance.
Thank you.